Hello viewers, welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that talks about breeding of terrorism and its impact on South Asian nations. Let's begin with the headlines first. TLP protests continue across Pakistan over alleged blasphemous caricatures. UK puts Pakistan on high-risk countries list over money laundering and terror financing. And Indian security forces continue anti-terror operations in Kashmir. Let's begin the show with Pakistan, which is undergoing huge turmoil as supporters of Tehreek-i-Labbaik Pakistan protested in several cities of the country. They are demanding the expulsion of a French envoy over publications of alleged blasphemous caricatures of Prophet Mohammad. Violent TLP protests wreaked havoc in the Muslim-majority country, with Islamist supporters and security forces clashing in major cities. The situation turned even more volatile after the arrest of TLP's chief on April 12th. A report. Flames of violence engulfed Pakistan as thousands of supporters of a so-called anti-blasphemy party, Tehreek-i-Labbaik Pakistan, wreaked havoc on Pakistani streets. Leading their Labbaik Rasool Allah slogans, a large number of Islamic radicals blocked highways and rail tracks and clashed with police in different parts of Pakistan in protest against the arrest of their leader, Saad Hussain Rizvi, ahead of rallies denouncing French cartoons depicting the Prophet Mohammad. It has been agitating since November 2020 for the expulsion of the French ambassador from Pakistan and a ban on all French goods. Following 3 days of horrific rioting which left around 7 policemen dead and almost 400 injured, Pakistan government has now decided to ban TLP under Terrorism Act.
एंटी-टेररिज्म एक्ट 1997 के रूल 11B के तहत तहरीक-ए-लब्बैक पाकिस्तान पर पाबंदी लगाने का फैसला किया गया और ये समरी पंजाब हुकूमत की सिफारिश के बाद अभी काबीना को भेजी जा रही है.
This Labbaik Ya Rasulullah is a registered political party. So they have to go with the long process of banning this organization. The government has to go to Supreme Court or anywhere, and then Supreme Court will guide the election commission, and then election commission will ban, and it will take I think at least 6 months. So till that time then there would be no hue cry or no other things, and this FATF thing will go away. Then again this organization will start militancy. This is a big fraud from the Pakistan.
Tehreek-i-Labbaik Pakistan, an extremist group founded by firebrand Muslim leader Saad Hussain Rizvi, who died in November 2020, has made the issue of perceived blasphemy its rallying cry. They have been demanding the severing of all ties with France. The government, under pressure, had also agreed not to appoint its ambassador to France and assured that their demands will be tabled before the parliament on April 20. However, in a surprise development, the government arrested the TLP leader as the deadline approached, provoking angry reactions from the party supporters.
हमारा यही मुतालबा है कि हमारे कायदे मोहतरम को रिहा किया जाए और 20 तारीख का जो हमसे मुआहदा किया है उस मुआहदे के मुताबिक फ्रांस के सफीर को फौरन मुल्क पाकिस्तान से निकाला जाए और उनकी मसनूआत का बाइकाट किया जाए.
However, Pakistan government's decision to put a ban on Islamist terror outfit TLP seems a bit ironical. Like several other terror outfits, TLP was also maneuvered into mainstream politics by the country's army brass as one of its tools of political engineering. TLP had its big show in 2017 when it carried out a violent anti-government protest over allegations of blasphemy. It is no secret that it had the backing of the ISI, and the aim was to destabilize and humiliate the PMLN government of the time. Later, a video of an army general handing out cash rewards to TLP protesters also surfaced on social media, clearly implicating army's role in this dirty saga.
The ban in Pakistan with regards to Tehreek-i-Labbaik Pakistan reflects a lot of cosmetic action that we've seen in the past. I mean, most of the time, these extremist organizations that have linkages to the state, and as we do know that TLP was linked to the state, they get banned, and then when there's a lot of public pressure, political pressure, as we saw in this case, and then after once the pressure is released and is relaxed, then these organizations usually reincarnate into different names. We've seen that with other kind of extremist organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed, and many more so. So the more important thing here is not these bans which are just for public sort of kind of performative bans which just show that the government is doing something when it's not actually doing something. The actual thing would be that if the government in fact or the military, which is really behind these kind of groups, it actually stops sponsoring such groups, and that will never happen.
Pakistan has always been known for its perennial support to several radical and terror outfits like Al-Qaeda, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. What is even more frightening is that extremist groups like TLP are radicalizing their followers to take up blasphemy as a global cause, leading up to violent events not just in Pakistan but abroad. These hardliners were pushed by Pakistan's military to allow radicals to gain political space. However, once banned, the TLP will not be able to take part in elections. But the ban will not prevent its use in power games on the streets. The tragic part is, the Pakistani army never learns. Now we move to Bangladesh, where threats of Islamic extremism are a symptom of deeper social and political problems. The most disturbing happening is the activities of hardline Islamist groups like Hifazat-e-Islam, which in recent months have chosen actions of very violent and belligerent nature. Recently, a demand has been raised in the US to designate this outfit Hifazat-e-Islam as a terror organization.
These are the visuals of the recent clash of hardliners with police in Bangladesh. The riotous mob burnt and destroyed public and private properties in Dhaka and other cities. A large number of protesters, mostly belonging to radical outfit Hifazat-e-Islam, blocked a highway and attacked police with bricks and stones. These terrorizing crowds were not comfortable with the growing ties of Bangladesh with India. Now several organizations of Bangladeshi freedom fighters living in the US have urged Secretary of State Antony Blinken to designate Hifazat-e-Islam as a terrorist organization.
With regards to this organization, they have been involved in vicious and a lot of violent protests which has resulted in casualties throughout Bangladesh, and they have an agenda to destabilize the democratic processes and the democratically elected Prime Minister of Bangladesh. So it has to be dealt with a very firm hand.
Many believe that Hifazat-e-Islam is a front organization for the banned Islamist party Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami, which calls for a Sharia legal system in the country. This outfit, which recently attacked devotees in a mosque, has a nationwide network, and it has held large protests in the past demanding that Bangladesh introduce strict blasphemy laws. Formed in 2010, Hifazat-e-Islam operates unregulated madrasas across Bangladesh, and it mostly targets freethinkers, liberal forces, and advocates of inclusive values and culture. Though it claims itself to be a non-political Islamic advocacy group, the ideology and activities of Hifazat-e-Islam are reminiscent of those of the Taliban. Recently, its supporters ransacked a Hindu village in Sunamganj district to protest critical comments against a leader of their group. Most of the time, activities of such radical outfits in Bangladesh have a very strong element of support from Pakistan's notorious agency, the ISI. According to the sources, there was a strong Pakistani angle in the recent anti-India agitation also. In an attempt to instigate trouble in India, Pakistan is funding such radical groups.
With regards to Pakistan supporting anti-India activities, it is a well-known documented fact that Pakistani diplomats on record have been caught red-handed, peddling Indian fake currencies, supporting terrorism and anti-India activities through Bangladesh.
The growing traction of violent extremist ideology in Bangladesh poses a serious security challenge in the subcontinent. Current counter-terrorism efforts in Bangladesh have largely focused on the use of blunt force and suppression of political opposition instead of attempting to tackle the root causes and processes of radicalization. Dhaka remains rooted in a posture of denial regarding the activities of terror groups on its territory. To counter terrorism, Bangladesh needs to seriously solve its homegrown violence instigated by Pakistani secret agencies. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government should reinforce the capability of its law enforcement agencies and build a political consensus against the threats posed by Islamic radical outfits.
Moving on, in a major setback to Islamabad, the United Kingdom has added Pakistan to its list of 21 high-risk countries over money laundering and terror financing charges. Pakistan's multi-pronged design of backing terror outfits has become a subject of global criticism, and the country is continuously facing the backlash from international community for supporting and funding terror activities around the world. A report.
Pakistan continues to face global embarrassment for carrying a tag of a terror-promoting state. In the latest jolt to Pakistan, the United Kingdom, in its new amended regulations, has added Pakistan to the list of undesirable nations and has categorized it as high-risk country with unsatisfactory money laundering and terror financing controls. Pakistan shares this list with several conflict-ridden countries like Syria, Zimbabwe, and Yemen. The United Kingdom has accused Pakistan of terrorism financing and money laundering. Earlier in December, another report by British authorities blamed Pakistan for funneling dirty money to the UK.
This was a move that was seen to be coming, given Pakistan's consistent record of supporting terrorism through various means, and for which also actively carrying out money laundering operations, not only in UK, but across Europe. We already know how Pakistan financed 26/11 terror attack through a network which operated from Italy. Hence, I think it's a timely decision, and I'm sure the UK authorities will considerably clamp down on the resources that are now going to be available to Pakistan from that country, given the large diaspora of Pakistanis in UK.
The development comes as the Financial Action Task Force sword continues to hang on Pakistan. Pakistan had first figured in a FATF statement in February 2008. Later, this terror-sponsor nation got grey-listed several times for failing to implement effective measures to stop terror financing and money laundering in the country. Subsequently, Pakistan was again placed on the grey list in June 2018 and was given 2 years to clean up its act and 27 action points to deliver. In October 2020, a review was conducted and Pakistan failed to fulfill 6 out of 27 obligations. Pakistan was said to be blacklisted, but it did not happen. Even in the past plenary meeting in February 2021, it was saved again and given another extension. Now it has time till June 2021. However, Pakistan still risks being pushed into the blacklist if it does not fulfill its commitments to curb terrorism financing. Latest reports reveal that Pakistan may seek more time to complete the last 3 actions it has to take to exit the FATF's grey list, citing delays amid the pandemic and capacity constraints. This repeated story has also raised questions over FATF's credibility, for it has proven toothless against a terror state.
Pakistan's record on financing terrorism is concerned. It has been under stringent stipulations which have been laid down by the FATF for the past 2 years. As I recall, there were almost 20 plus impingements which were identified by the FATF, and they were supposed to clear them. Pakistan has yet to clear at least 4 to 5 very important conditions which have been laid down by the FATF, and as I believe it will not be possible for Pakistan to overcome this, because this involves charge sheeting and taking action against the core terrorist leaders as Masood Azhar and Hafiz Saeed. But however, FATF has its own politics which was ongoing, and Pakistan always finds support from certain countries who make sure that it is not pushed into the blacklist.
With Pakistan's continuation in the grey list, it is increasingly becoming difficult for Islamabad to get financial aid from the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and the European Union, thus further enhancing problems for the debt-ridden nation, which is in a precarious financial situation. Regardless of all financial issues, Pakistan continues to use terrorism as an instrument of its state policy. Moreover, the country has found an escape route in its strategy of action before scrutiny. Whenever Pakistan has faced a decision on its grey list status, it has carried out similar actions that appear to be aimed more at ensuring a better outcome for itself at the FATF. Its arrest and conviction of Hafiz Saeed, Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, and Masood Azhar in terror financing cases, the passing of anti-terrorism and money laundering laws in the Pakistan Assembly to bring them in line with FATF-mandated international norms, and the publication of new lists of terrorists at various times, all were timed before FATF reviews of Pakistan's status.
Last year, Kashmir Valley witnessed widespread anti-terror operations that resulted in the killing of the highest number of terrorists. The same success story of Indian security forces is being repeated this year, as terrorists in the valley are suffering huge losses with the killing of their commanders. The recent spurt in encounters and arrests of terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir is taking the counter-insurgency operation to the next level. We take a look.
5 terrorists of band Ansar Ghazwatul Hind were killed in an encounter with security forces in Shopian of Jammu and Kashmir, even as another gun battle raged on in the nearby Anantnag district. Security forces in the Anantnag neutralized 2 terrorists who were involved in the killing of a territorial army soldier. AK series rifles and other arms and ammunition were also recovered from the duo. Police also busted a network of Lashkar-e-Taiba by arresting 6 alleged overground workers of the outfit involved in the last month's militant attack in Sopore, in which 2 councillors and a cop were killed. With such successful operations, one after another, the entire ecosystem of terrorists across the Kashmir Valley has come to a standstill.
सारे अफसर्स ने दिन रात मेहनत करी है और इसमें टेक्निकल एनालिसिस का भी बहुत ज़्यादा इसमें सहारा किया हुआ है. अब मैं टेक्निकल एनालिसिस के बारे में बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल में नहीं कर सकता शेयर, क्योंकि वो ऑपरेशनल डिटेल्स हैं, बट इसमें हमने काफ़ी कोलैबोरेशन के लिए सीसीटीवी फुटेजेस हो गई, टेक्निकल इनपुट्स हो गए, ह्यूमन इनपुट्स हो गए, कन्फेशंस हो गए, सारी चीज़ों का रिकॉर्ड करके ये इतना सब हमें बना है. तो बेसिकली द एंटायर नेटवर्क विच वॉज इन्वॉल्व इन दिस अटैक, that has been now busted, that is with us now, that has been properly arrested. Only 2 persons are remaining, the terrorists. One is a local terrorist, one is a foreign terrorist, which I am very sure with all our efforts and with the grace of Almighty, they will be eliminated or they will surrender soon enough.
Pakistan seems to be frustrated with this crackdown on terror. Hence, Pak-backed terror groups like Al-Badr are continuously attempting to disrupt peace in the valley, but the vigilant security forces are successfully preventing every possible attack. Recently, police arrested 2 terrorists and 3 associates of Al-Badr outfit and seized arms and ammunition in North Kashmir's Kupwara district. On one hand, Pakistan is desperate to push in terrorists in the valley, and on the other hand, it is attempting to disrupt communal harmony in the region. Terrorists backed by Pakistan forces are misusing religious places like mosques to carry out attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. Such instances were also noted during the recent attack in Shopian, where terrorists were holed up inside the Jama Masjid. These kinds of tactics make it difficult for the security forces to carry out the operation.
The misuse of these religious places, masjids and mosques by the militants is a very, very thought out strategy by the Pakistan ISI and Pakistan government, Pakistan army. They have given instructions to their militant cadres that whenever you are faced with any such cordon and search operations or any security forces who are coming there, you should immediately rush to the mosque and take shelter over there, and then from the mosque use their loudspeaker PA system and try to rouse passions amongst the public. They're telling them that look, their mosque is under attack, their religious sentiments are under attack, and they should come out in support of the militant.
Indian security forces have successfully managed to burst various strategies of terror in Kashmir. However, despite the best efforts of the security forces, some challenges still remain. At a time of increased vigil on the border, terror group chiefs from other side are trying desperately to find new means to smuggle guns into the valley. The other challenge is to gradually dismantle all support and sympathy for Pakistan-based terror groups in the valley. This would be the final phase of counter-insurgency operations, one that would need more time and sustained efforts.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We'll be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@nin.com. This is Shreya Savajay signing off on the behalf of the entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.